What's up, everyone? It's Matt Mrozik, and I posted a photo of these this morning, and someone asked me if I would do a review of them. So I was like, sure, why not? I hadn't planned on doing a review, but let's do it anyway. So these are two kind of for the awesome camera work as usual, classic pieces sculpted by Troy McDevitt. This is his quarter scale Wolverine and Sabertooth. So these came out a while ago. I'm not sure exactly how long ago they came out. I just know they've been out for a while. Really hard to find actually, and I was able to get these two together. And the guy I bought it from asked if I wanted another one. Omega, I think is the other guy, but I wasn't into him. But I got these, and I really hadn't planned on doing anything with them for a while. Actually, the kits were for sale, and I'd probably still sell the kits if someone was interested in them for the right price. But I was organizing some stuff, and I took them out. I was like, oh, I'll work on these a little bit. I had a couple hours yesterday to work in the studio, just mess around. So anyway, I'm gonna do a kind of combo review of both pieces, and we'll take a look at them in one video. So let's do Wolverine first. He's a little easier to handle because he's got a smaller footprint. Sabertooth is a little more, not complicated, but his base is a little more complicated. So I'm going to put him to the side for now. This Wolverine I can get on a turntable and move him around easier. So these are, like I said, sculpted by Troy McDevitt. Again, I don't remember how long ago these came out. Both really cool pieces. Really like this Wolverine in particular. It's a great sculpt. It is a true garage kit, so it needs a little bit of work. It needs a little bit of love in order to get this ready for paint, and I'll go over all that. So I've already done some work on it. What you're seeing is basically just the basic pinning of the piece. So when I got this, it had already been started by another painter. I'm not sure who that painter was because I bought this from a client of mine. And when he put it together, the legs were a little off, and so he didn't sit on the tree very well. So, like I said, I had a couple hours yesterday, and I was like, I'm going to just kind of get this guy pinned together so I can put him on my shelf at least and show him off. So I'm going to take him apart and show you kind of what I've done so far work-wise and some of the issues that I had to deal with from the work that was done on this previously. So it comes apart like this, and then like this. So what's really cool about this piece is his pose. He's perched up on this tree, and it looks like the previous painter. I've never seen this kit not as as an entire kit. This was worked on previously. So I think this tree was casted in two pieces. There's a seam line here. I'm not sure if the previous painter fixed this or if this was done by the producer. I don't think Troy McDevitt produced this. I know he's a sculptor. So we're going to start with the review of the tree, the base part, which I really like. The sculpt on it's really, really good. Oops. And Troy's an amazing sculptor. And I give him a hard time sometimes, but he's an amazing sculptor. The one thing about Troy pieces, and this is not a jab against Troy, is that his work, this is going to come off, it's a little rough. And I don't mean that it's rough in a bad way. It's just that it needs some more finishing work to get ready for paint. And I'll go over that when I get to the Wolverine. His style is very loose. Some sculptors are super, super tight. He has a much looser style, I think. You can pretty much tell a Troy sculpt pretty quickly. You can tell his style. But the tree is amazing. Again, it's really natural looking. The wood looks amazing. All the foliage looks very natural and realistic. And I've seen some amazing paint-ups of this. You can see a little putty work here where the feet go, and I'll go over why I had to do that here in a second. So I basically rekeyed everything that I could and added magnets into a couple areas. So, like I said, I got this when I bought this, it was from a previous painter, and I think when this came as a kit, the legs were separate and this torso was separate. So in the previous painter, and maybe the feet were separate, it looks like that's where he's done the work. I think when the previous painter put this together, the legs weren't lined up exactly, so he wouldn't sit on the tree right. He would the holes didn't line up exactly right. Another thing I would have done if I had gotten this fresh from the gate is I would have gone through and I'd done a lot of the smoothing of this piece before I put it together, because like I said, Troy's work, he's a little looser, it's a little rougher, it needs some more finish out. So there's a lot of just sculpting imperfections, and again, that sounds negative, but it's really not negative. It's just some tool marks and stuff. So for my taste, I know the previous paint-ups I've seen this. I'm not sure if other painters go through and like sand it all out or just paint over it. But for me, I'm gonna go in here and sand this all smooth. The belt's really rough in particular. It's got a rough texture to it. So now, but I love the pose. I love the sculpt. There's like a couple little dings here in the knee. I'm not sure if those are supposed to be there or that's part of the sculpt. I'll probably fill it in because to me it looks questionable. The black marks are from my clamps when I was trying to fix the legs, and I'll show you how I'll tell you how I fix it because I didn't do any videos. You'll see that this is all shiny because it's covered in Vaseline from rekeying the heads, and you'll see some putty work on this arm. I rekeyed this arm so this arm would magnetize better in, just to fill the gap. And that's we've seen that process before, where I Vaseline one side, put putty on the other side, and stick it in and let it cure. So the other painter, his work is not, his assembly work is not that great. It's pretty messy. Like I said, I would have gone in and sanded all these parts smooth and gotten that all taken care of before I started putting it together, because now it's really hard to get in there and sand all this out. So yeah, it's just gonna be a little more work. And when he glued the legs on and the feet on, they weren't glued in exactly correct, so they wouldn't key in correctly. But this really is a review of the piece. But the sculpt, like I said, the sculpt is amazing. I love his pose. The skin on the arms, so he's got all these hash marks to represent fur. So that's just the way it's been sculpted to represent hair. I think it'll look okay once it's painted. Right now, it just looks like a bunch of scratch marks. Again, I've seen a lot of paint-ups of this, but I'm not sure if the other painter's going through and smooth this all out and then fix it or what. But yeah, that looks really. The sculpt is amazing. And then this guy comes with 3 heads. Well, actually 4 if you count the one he's holding. So he comes with 2 unmasked heads. One's a long-haired, and one's short-haired. This long-haired is a younger looking head, and I do like this quite a bit. I like actually all 3 heads. They're really nice. Great sculpt again. Like I said, Troy's a great sculptor, and he's a nice guy. I really like him. I did have to add some putty on the bottom of the chin here and sculpt that to the neck because it didn't quite line up. And the keys, you can see, so this is like, again, this is a true garage kit. This is hand sculpted, so the keys are not like 3D printed. You can see like the clay and stuff like that. So I'm not worried about that because you don't see it once it's on. So you can see my putty work here where that is, and it's not neat, but again, you're not going to see it, so I'm not worried about it. I'm just worried about how it blends with the neckline. So I've got a little more work to do here. This is just a real quick kind of rekeying. But it's a nice kind of younger looking head. Dig it. Flowing locks. This one's probably a little older, probably a little more towards what we would think about Logan in the movie version with Hugh Jackman. It's a very Hugh Jackman looking. I'm not sure if it's supposed to look like him, but it's very Hugh Jackman-esque. What I really like about it is the way the teeth are sculpted, man. They're done really, really well, which will make painting a little bit easier because they're very well defined. I did do the same thing down here. I had a little putty and had to expand the chin line to blend in with the neck better. But I'll show you that once I get that on the head. I love the hair sculpt. Really nicely done. And then we have the mass portrait. This will need a lot of refitting to get it to blend into the neckline better, and I'll show you that here in a second too. And then we have 2, so he's got 3 switch out heads, and he's got 2 switch out right arms, or right hand. So here's the one fist right here, and it's just the plain fist with the claws. And then we got this fist right here, again with claws, but it's holding Sabertooth's head. And the sculpt on Sabertooth's head is amazing. Really done really well. It's been cut off by Logan's claws. All the anatomy's in there. And you can go to town with blood and stuff on this. And I've already got that pinned. You can see I got a 3/32 inch brass rod, and this will get glued permanently eventually, but I just got it pinned right now, and he's holding it like that. So nicely done. So what I did the other day, just quickly, it took a few hours, is I rekeyed that arm. So like for this one, I had to add a little putty to the key, and it just took care of the gaps, because there was some gaps around where the glove goes into the arm. So it took care of that. It's a relatively easy fix. It does take a little time, especially when there's so many. So that's one switch out there, like that. And then the other one is, and these head magnets, his arm was Sabertooth's head. This one had a pretty significant gap around this side and the back side. But it's been taken care of now with putty. So once that's all painted, it'll look really nice. And then this arm, there's no gap, or there's no switch out, but I added a magnet anyway, just for ease of shipping and taking apart, just like that. I'm going to take those off, and then we'll show you the heads and how I had to work on those. So like initially, when I put this head on, it still needs a little work. This neckline didn't line up, and it's still a little off. So I need to add a little more putty and blend that in a little bit better. But that's just like the first go around. But it looks really good. It fits very well in this head. And also for the unmasked portraits, he has his mask right here, which is cool. And I thought about adding a magnet to it, but I don't need to, because once you put the head on, the heads hold it in place. So it's perfect. So it doesn't need a magnet. This is just held in place with the hair. So it saves me from having to drill holes in this and putty and all stuff. So no magnets are needed there. Just hold it in place. But it looks really good. So I need a little more work on that chin line. And then this head goes in the same way. Again, it's pretty close. I need probably one more application of putty there to blend it in all the way. Because right now there's a lip here. It doesn't make sense. His Adam's apple is like sticking out. There's a ledge, so it doesn't blend in. So again, what I'll do is I'll add some Vaseline to this part, and I'll add some putty and blend it in, and it'll look good. And that's all it needs to be done on those guys. Now the unmasked head needs quite a bit of work. Nothing lines up. So I gotta basically sculpt around the chin, the jawline, and the back of the head. You can see all the gaps and stuff I got to take care of. So that's going to take some work to get that to blend in a little bit nicer. But again, it's a kit, so this is not a 3D printed piece, and it's a hand sculpt. So there's going to be things you got to work on. But and I really like the sculpting this one too. So in order for me to get this to stand correctly on the tree, what I had to do before I did any putty work is basically I clamped them into place. I added a pin, or did I add a pin first? I did. I added this pin, and I got that kind of sitting the way I wanted it. So I got this foot sitting the way it should. And then I got them into place. You got to kind of get them on there. You got to kind of twist them and get them in there. I clamped this foot, and I clamped this foot, and I got it in place. And then what I did is I went downstairs and I just boiled some water, several pots of boiling water. And with the clamp, I just poured boiling water all over his legs. And hold on, let me get this light out of the way. So with this clamp, and this clamp, I just poured boiling water all over his legs and everything like that. And it got it pretty close. Then I just let it sit there and let it cool. And there's a little bit of bounce back, and that's always going to happen with resin. It's going to be a little bounce back, but he's sitting there pretty good now. And then once I got that, I did my rekeying trick. I basically covered the feet in petroleum jelly. I filled the keys with some putty, and then while the putty was still wet, I put them back in there. Like this, put them back in, and then I clamped them down. Once the putty is dry, I pulled them out and cleaned it up. So that's how that works. So now let's look at him put together. So we got, I'll measure him for you. He's actually, even for quarter scale, he's not that tall because he's crouched down on this tree. So we got the unmasked head right there. Come down a little bit. here. And then, so I got the holes drilled out for the claws. I just don't have them in there. That goes there. And then if we did, you know, I like it with the Sabertooth hand. I just think it looks awesome. Just like that. And then total height. Highest part would be his elbow. So he's right at, I think 18 inches. 18 inches to his elbow. Yeah. Just like that. And then you can take this head out if you want. At least have magnets. And do the unmasked with this mask kind of flowing behind him. Maybe just ripped it off. But a great piece. I need to work a little bit, I think, on my pin. Maybe bend it a little bit because I'm getting a little bit of a gap. I don't think I'll ever get rid of this gap completely. I think just from the initial gluing it on not correctly, it's kind of screwed this up a little bit. We'll see. I may, so what's in there right now is some Bondo body filler. What I may do is do Aves and clamp it overnight, and I think that may be a stronger key, but we'll see. But yeah, he looks really good. It's a cool piece. That's probably my favorite portrait, is that one. I got this guy. Yeah, I think this one's my favorite. And it just reminds me of the movie, so that's what I like. And that's the Wolverine I know because I watch the movies. I don't read the comics. And then you can take this out if you want and do this guy with claws. It does come with metal claws. There's 9 because you have three hands. You do have to drill out the holes and kind of groove them for them to fit. So that's a little bit of work, but you know, not that big of a deal. All right, so that's the Wolverine. Pretty cool piece. Let's put him to the side. Let's check out the Sabertooth. Sabertooth is really cool. Again, another great sculpt by Troy. I don't know if I'll be able to spin him around on this turntable because of the way the base is. We'll see. Because the base is actually in 2 pieces. No, 3 pieces technically. So again, we got this great sculpted kind of tree thing going on here. And these kind of, the way this work, these kind of, look at it. They kind of nestle into each other. I think it goes this way. Hold on, let me figure this out. Yeah, it goes like this. So these kind of just slide. They don't key in or they don't like glue in or anything. Just kind of nestle in. And see, again, now this was put together by the same painter, and I don't think he screwed anything up on this because the only thing to put on are the hands. That's the only thing that's got to be keyed. And I do have the heads. And so he just kind of sits in here like this. I'll have to do some rekeying again because, again, the traditional sculpt, and he needs a little bit of work, a little bit of love, but nothing major. And there's this other log here, and I always have a hard time finding out where this log goes. It just kind of lays on the base. I usually end up finding it, but it's kind of weird. Like I don't know why it's there. Like it doesn't really need it because it's hard to tell where it goes. I usually, last time I found, I had to look at a picture of a painted piece to find out where it went. I thought it went on top here. There are some sculpting marks. Yeah, where is it? Right there. No. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Another thing is I was at my son's PTA fundraiser last night, and a gentleman came up to me and was like, "Hey, do you have a YouTube channel?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." He's like, "Oh, you subscribe to your channel." I was like, "That's awesome, man. Thanks for watching." I forgot your name, so if you watch this, leave a comment so I can remember your name. I apologize, but it was really loud. I couldn't hear a whole lot. Anyway, it's got this random log. It goes in here somewhere. I don't know. We'll put it right there for now. But again, great sculpt by Troy. This sculpt's a little smoother. It doesn't need as much prep work. The Wolverine's a little rough overall. Just needs a little more love. And this claw goes in here. Let's hope it doesn't fall out. Let me put a little glue tack in there. All right, just like that. And now he comes with two heads. He's got like this kind of a grinning face, and he got this like rage face. And these will need magnets and a little bit of rekeying also. Maybe not rekeying, but they do need magnets. But great sculpt, great expression. Again, not as tall, but deeper because of the way he's standing. So height-wise, to the back of he's right at 18 inches tall. Also, he doesn't look as tall, but to this point, he's 18 inches tall. He's a little deeper because of the way he's standing, lunging forward like that. So depth-wise, you're looking at, I had to measure the depth on Wolverine, that's all right. Looking at about 16 inches, and not very wide. Both of these pieces, they actually take up very small space, about 14 inches wide. Get great sculpt. This is actually almost ready for paint, to be honest. I don't know if there's a whole lot of smoothing out to do. There's really no mold lines that I can see. Now I did take it back. The previous painter did put them together a little bit. There's a seam line right here in the legs. So he did put it together, and I will have to do a rekey of this foot. You can see there's a pretty good gap there. This foot sits nice and flat. This foot, not so much. If I make this foot sit flat, this one comes up. So they'll do the same thing. I'll get him kind of in position. I'll add a bunch of putty there, and I'll kind of resculpt this tree around his foot a little bit. It's not the end of the world, so sometimes you gotta do that. But it's a real, so it's a true garage kit. It's not a 3D print. It's a hand sculpted piece. So there's gonna be some imperfections and stuff you gotta deal with. There's that smirked face. I like the rage face better. I kind of like his hair on it better. But great sculpt, great definition of the teeth. I've seen a lot of great paint-ups of this piece too. But together they make a great combo. Just a really nice set. So two classic pieces sculpted by Troy McDevitt. The Wolverine review is a lot longer because there's just more to cover with him. I'm going to put my favorites out of that face. I take the claws out to keep going out with poor Sabertooth's head in there. So I guess Sabertooth lost that battle between the two of them. But there you go. As far as like a rating goes, considering they're traditional sculpted pieces, I would say they're sculpt-wise they're 10s out of 10s. Casting-wise, I think the casting is really good. I'm not sure who produced these pieces. I'd say casting is a solid 9 out of 10. I don't see any major mold lines or anything like that, or steps. As far as engineering goes, engineering is a little tough on Wolverine just because it's a complex pose on how he gets up there. And again, I got these from another painter, so I can't speak from when I first got the piece. But I think overall they're solid like 9 out of 10 as far as quality goes. Sculpt, casting, and all that stuff. They're just really cool pieces. I'll have to work on his key a little bit more here because he's leaning forward. So I may do some Aves. Maybe I'll do that tonight and let that sit overnight. I'll give it a clamp it. The Aves is a harder putty. This isn't so hard. It's a little softer. It's got a little more ply in it. So, but yeah, cool pieces. Dig them both. Don't know when I'll paint these guys. I've got so much other stuff going on, obviously. But someone asked if I'd do a review. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I haven't done a review in a while. These are both great pieces. Deserve a review. So, as always, thanks for watching. This is Matt Mrozik. Catch you guys next time. Bye.